Welcome to the 1Keydata data warehousing tutorial. In this video, we will talk about the difference between a database, a data warehouse, and a data lake. But first, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so now. What is a database? A database is an organized collection of data stored and accessed electronically. Databases have been around since the 1960s. In the earlier days, databases are primarily relational in nature. When we say something is relational, we mean that data is stored in tables, and different tables are connected to one another via relationships. Another type of database is broadly categorized as NoSQL database. These types of databases started in the late 2000s, and is a response to the growing types of data. Data is no longer always structured, and there are a lot of unstructured data sets. Examples are customer support chat data, GPS data, etc. There are several types of NoSQL databases, and the commonality among them is that none of them adheres to the traditional relational model. Databases used to be on-premise. This means that databases usually live in the company's own data center, or in some cases, in the desktop or laptop of an individual employee. These days, many large organizations leverage cloud database platforms such as AWS, Microsoft Azure, or Google BigQuery. Cloud databases are hosted on third-party platforms. Cloud databases can be relational or of the NoSQL variety. What is a data warehouse? According to Bill Inman, often called the father of data warehouse, a data warehouse is a subject-oriented, integrated, time-variant, and non-volatile collection of data in support of management's decision-making process. Historical data is available in a data warehouse, and once data is in the data warehouse, it will not change over time. The concept of a data warehouse started in the 1980s and became more mainstream in the 1990s. The idea of a data warehouse is to speed up the pace of analysis on structured data. This can be done by either building a specialized cube or store the data in a relational database in a certain way called a dimensional model. The data set that's in a data warehouse is always cleansed and transformed to suit analytical needs. A data warehouse can be built on a specialized combination of hardware and software such as Teradata, or it could be built on top of a relational database. What is a data lake? A data lake is a construct that stores and organizes both structured and unstructured data. The concept of a data lake started in the mid-2010s, and at the beginning, most data lakes were built on Hadoop. However, this has changed recently as many organizations are now using cloud database platforms to store their data lake. A data lake stores both structured and unstructured data, and in some use cases, it may store raw data. In this way, a data lake can be thought of as a staging area for the data, though in some cases, data can be pulled directly from the data lake and be used without further processing. In many ways, a data lake is similar to the concept of an operational data store, or ODS. In a data warehousing system, an ODS serves as a staging area for the data, and data is often stored in the original transactional form as opposed to in a format optimized for reporting and analysis. The distinction here is that a data lake includes both structured and unstructured data, while an ODS contains only structured data. So what's the relationship among the three? Both data warehouse and data lake sit on top of a database. In other words, you cannot have a data warehouse without an underlying database, nor can you have a data lake without an underlying database. Then what's the relationship between a data warehouse and a data lake? Let's trace through a typical data movement pattern in an organization. First, you have different data sources. Some contain structured data and some contain unstructured data. These data sources are pulled together and into a data lake, which can contain any type of data and has great flexibility. From the data lake, ETL, which stands for extraction, transformation, and loading, is performed and the resulting structured data set is stored into a data warehouse. A data warehouse contains only structured data and offers less flexibility. At the same time, it is optimized for analysis. So should you go with a data warehouse or a data lake? Based on the descriptions earlier, it should be clear that a data warehouse and a data lake is not an either-or proposition. In many cases, it makes sense to have both, i.e., a data lake that serves as a repository of all data, some of which then is propagated to the data warehouse. One should always have a data warehouse to handle structured data. For example, to handle revenue data and to understand how revenue is broken down by different dimensions, such as geography and product category. Also, it is important to note that depending on your organization's infrastructure, it is possible that both the data warehouse and the data lake sit on the same data storage layer. And in some cases, the distinction between the two can be blurred. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. To learn more about data warehousing, please visit 1Keydata.com.